All right. There I am. Been up since 5 this morning, bit of a sleep in. I've started painting. All right, so I've painted the walls in the living room. I finished. There's one coat on the ceiling. I'll put another coat there. I've done ceiling here in the living room, angled bullnose ceiling. I'll do another coat there as well, which is pretty cool. I've done the kitchen as well. The kitchen is looking pretty good. It's all white. Again, I've got to do another coat on the ceiling, but the walls are finished. You might see a few shadows, but it's gleaming white. Yeah. Nice. It's all white. White. Heavenly white. Yeah, one more coat on the ceiling would be nice, I think. Get some new globes, and I'll probably get some oil paint to do those light fittings. Hopefully they work. Got to do the cornices as well, but the walls are finished here in the kitchen. Lots of rolling. Living room looks fantastic. Got to do in there. I've done all the brush bits. And then also in here, it's a bit dark, but I've done one coat around the top and 2 coats around the bottom. Okay, I've actually done 2 coats on the wooden wall, but when it dries it'll brighten up and get white again. Done all the corners and brush bits in here. Done that wall once, do it again. Done that wall once at the bottom, I'll do it again. Got to do the top. I'll do that as well before I fill it with mud, cob. I've done all the angle bits in the brush bits in the laundry here. I'll stick a little compost toilet in there, which would be nice. Not quite an ensuite, but you know, I'll just go through a door. That's the main bedroom there. This is Sammy's bedroom. There's a beautiful window I installed. Painted this door. It's looking pretty white. Painted the laundry door at the back, and then all the brush bits. Covered all this black stuff. I'll paint over that up there. I'll paint that white, that wall. This is Sammy's little wardrobe. There's our gigantic washing machine, which is pretty nifty. Not sure about the energy rating, but looks pretty fancy. Very fancy. There's the scraper. Have a look. I'm surprised it doesn't talk to you. Hey, look at that. Very impressive. How much was it? $195. That was second hand from an op shop. So I think it's a pretty fancy one. Yeah, not particularly energy efficient, but it's alright. Water, well, we get unlimited water in Blackwell, so it's not an issue. I don't know if I want to fill this wall with mud, but maybe I'll just do those 2 columns with mud and then leave this open because of the PowerPoint. Couldn't be bothered like repositioning that. It's in a conduit though, so I could extend the conduit and bring it out. But there's a nice little shelf there as well. But we'll paint that white, and then so once we get the roller brush in here on the ceiling and walls, it'll be gleaming. I'll finish up there, get rid of that whatever colour it is, light pink, dark pink. It's pink. We'll get rid of it. Although Sammy does love pink. I made that wall up there. Quite a few measurements to do that angled cut in the gyprock. And then I've got to plaster it, run out of plaster. So we're going to Bunnings soon. As soon as our beds arrive, we'll go to Bunnings, and then we'll just get the last stuff. I've got to build a king size bed frame and a double size bed frame for the spare room and for our room. And here's our bedroom there. So I've done one coat across the top. I'm just about to do the second coat along that top section. I've done one coat across these walls. There's some previous painting there. I gave it a second coat here on the left. I've done the lower section here, just one coat. It's come up all right. Maybe we'll just clean these gaps here. Just clean them. May not need to paint it with a brush. I could do, but save the paint. Might need more paint. I've got to do it up the top there. All right, which is what I'll finish now. Do all around there, and then I'll start doing this. I'll do the ceiling in here. I'll do another coat on that wall. I'll do this wall, and then I'll move into laundry and get that done. So soon it's going to be livable. I paid for another month's rent. I've got to paint this door as well. It's a bit yucky. Don't want to get oil paint because it'll stink up. But I've got some good quality paint I'll use. Taubman's, good stuff. I might do another little coat around there. I'll see how it goes with the light. We get a bright light in here. I'll clean that skylight. It's nice to have that skylight in here in the centre of the house where it gets a bit dark. And the bedroom window's boarded up, but we'll take the AC out because there's an AC just balancing on the ledge. AC balancing on the ledge there. So we'll just rip that wood out and reframe it. I've got a couple of windows here that have already been sanded down because they're pretty solid wood. I do have some windows that fit there, but the wood is kind of rotted and not very strong. So then we'll get some deadlocks in there and stuff and make it secure. Might put a couple of steel bars there. Get one coat across the top. I find that it's better to wait until the first coat really dries properly before we apply the second coat of paint. Works well. Now this ceiling I've done, it's a tin ceiling with I've done 2 coats already, but there seems to be some brown stuff you can't really see coming through the paint, which could be rust, I suspect, in a few little patches there. But I've used the Taubman's for the first 2 coats. That's all going to be done by brush. So I'll do all the ceilings by brush. It's just easier because I can carry a little tub of paint up there and get more done without going up and down the ladder a million times. Tiny little crack there. I could just try to paint in there. So I might use the cheap paint. Hopefully the cheap paint doesn't bring that rust through. Maybe the expensive paint does and the cheap paint doesn't. Otherwise I'll just keep painting it until that red-brown rust stops coming through. But that was really hard to paint. Those tin little stylish tiles, there's little love hearts in these ones. Once I get enough paint on it, you'll really see the pattern come out. There was a little bit of old paint on there, but I scraped off as much as I could, and then I just thought, well, if I paint over enough times, it'll cover it up. And it's a high ceiling, so it's pretty far away from the eye, unless you're really tall. The cornices there sort of popping out. I could probably use a little bit of plaster when I get some more and just fill up a corner there and maybe screw that one that's coming away from the wall from the fibre of the nails popped out. And it's not really nailed in the wood, so I might just where it's joining there. I think we've got a solid bit of wood behind a stud behind it, so we'll try to screw into that and hold that down a little bit. Otherwise it just sticks out a little bit there. But we'll get to it. And then once the coat of paint dries in here, it'll actually come up, I think, nice. When it dries, it seems to come up wider. And there's my peacock. You can tell everyone I've shown you my peacock. All right, I'm pretty knackered, as you can expect, working 12 to 15 hours a day. But we'll get there. I think maybe 3 weeks, looking at 3 weeks. But I've just organised another month's rent in our little unit that we're staying at down the road. In the kitchen there you can see a couple of windows. I've got some smaller windows that I'm going to install, or so I'll reframe it, make it slightly smaller. The windows are just over there. They're really solid. The wood is really solid, so again, the wood in the existing windows is kind of rotted and there's broken glass there, so save him to fix that. But there's a bit of broken glass I've got to fix there in that back side door. We have a back door in the laundry, which I just showed you, and then we have a front door. So 3 doors. So no, I don't think it's a problem for fire escape. And we've got a lot of windows. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4. There's one over there. 5, and then 6 to the left of that in the spare room, and then 1 down to 7. So we've got 7 of these windows I installed that are 12mm thick, really solid, really thick. And they're not openable, so they're solid, and because they're so thick I don't think we need any steel bars or anything like that. And I've got the corrugated iron on the outside. There we go. It's a bit rough on this side, but there's whole sheets that go from the ground to the roof around the front and around the side, the other side. So I've given it 3 coats of paint and touch-ups, but I could add another coat. I need to scrape off that paint around the edge of the frames, and angle grind a little bit of steel off around the edges, and I'll stick some flashing there, and I'll use a bit of spray foam in there and seal that up before I put the flashing on. So there you see the front. Need to raise that deck at the front, at the left hand side a little bit. Seems to drop just a bit at the front left. Right hand side seems alright. I can't raise it anymore because I've put the steel there, so, and the roof gutter, which you can't really see at the top there, maybe you can, I don't know, is resting on top of that deck. And I've got some security doors, so I'm going to have to cut that beam. I'm going to have to cut that beam so the door can be installed, security door. So we've got a couple of posts here, so I might find a way to make sure we still have security. There's a couple of bolts there that are pretty strong, but this deck here at the front, or veranda, whatever you want to call it, is not bolted to the house, whereas the side veranda is. And I'll get a little bit more spray foam in there. I'll cut that off, paint it, a bit more spray foam. So I'll spray foam it around the top, and I'll use open cell foam. So open cell does allow water to pass through it, not readily. It's kind of water resistant, I guess, but if water does penetrate, it'll dry out. It won't get sealed in there and mould the wood. So, and then you can see here around the side, I've actually stapled some black plastic to the base of the house underneath, because there's sort of gaps between the floorboards, so it stops mozzies and, you know, little creepy crawlies getting through. And I might add a skirt, so I'm going to staple a skirt so you can see the full length sheets here at the front and this side. I ran out of full length sheets, so down the back there's a few overlaps, and I might stick some sort of strip on that just to make it look a little bit better, but or spray foam in those little gaps there. But at the base underneath I'm going to spray foam, and at the top I'm going to spray foam. So I'm going to seal up the corrugated iron between that and the fibro, which hopefully will act as insulation. So we have some level of outer insulation here, and then inside we'll add the thermal mass with the cob, which will be fun. So we'll get that on the YouTube channel, film all that stuff, and yeah, we could paint this veranda again, give it a fresh coat of paint, maybe brown, give it some decking paint, which I'll have to use inside. Hopefully it doesn't smell too bad. You can see the skylight there on the top. Roof needs a bit of work. I had to disconnect the roof as I was replacing the top beams, so I need some long roofing screws just to attach that front section. I've got my brush I left at the top of the roof there, as I was using some Sikaflex. Sikaflex is really good stuff to fill gaps. Just sticks to anything. It's amazing. So I filled a few leaking bits when it was raining. It's good to see. When it rains, it shows up all the leaks and everything. So, and I want to raise the ground underneath there. So I want to chuck a whole bunch of dirt under that veranda, and I'm going to raise the dirt level a little bit here, but I want to chuck a whole bunch of lime all around the outside. I put a little bit of lime there, so I dug that up and mixed a bit of lime into the soil. So I want to stabilise the ground around the outside, the perimeter, and then underneath, around all the stumps, I'm going to add lime around the base of them, mix it into the soil, and then stabilise it. And I'll use our exterior paint, and I might paint the rest of the house around the back here. Need to fix that window. I use the hot water tank as a cooling tank because we get hot artesian water out of the ground here, so we don't need a water heater. And now the water is pressurised. So we've got cold pressurised, hot pressurised. That was complicated, but I figured it out. And I'm going to get some of this butyl stuff, this tape. It's got like chewing gum underneath it. It's great for sealing leaks and stuff. It's got a little bit of steel on the outside, flexible steel, a bit of the fibro, but I think the fibro doesn't have asbestos in it. There's stamps on it that says manufactured without asbestos. And there you see, so about half the house underneath I've used black plastic all along. Maybe I'll stick the phone under. There you go, you might be able to see it under there maybe. Could be pretty dark, I'm not sure. You can see the stumps. I painted the stumps with lime. So the lime preserves the wood. It extracts moisture, so it deters insects, boring insects, and it also, I know they borrow from underneath, but once I get a whole bunch of more lime in there, and when the wood's dry, they don't like it, and they're attracted to moist wood. And that's hardwood. Those stumps are hardwood, so they don't really like to eat that stuff. But the stumps are in decent condition. There's a few on an angle, and there's a few bearers and floor joists that are right on the edge and stuff. So I might add some stumps. And we've got some wood down the back here as well. That's not very good wood, that log, but there's a couple of felled trees down the back. You can see one on an angle. There's one on an angle over here, which is hardwood, so I'm going to use that to make the bed frame. So maybe a couple of long bits here, so I'll get the chainsaw out, and then we've got some really good solid hardwood down here as well, which seems to be in reasonable nick, but I'm going to make some stylish bed frames, and I tried to cut through that, but didn't get all the way through. Don't want to use a chainsaw. But you can see the wood is really solid. So those trees, 1, 2, 3, and a couple of bits will actually come in handy, otherwise it'll be firewood. A little water tower there, no tank. So I might use the cooling tank from the house. I'll get that down somehow, and might whack it on top there, and then run a hose to it, fill it up. Although maybe I'll just get longer hoses. We've got a few taps. We've got a tap over there, tap down the back corner there. There's water to these sheds, but they need a lot of work. They need some fixing, especially the floor. And they're low, so when it floods, they fill up with water. So I need to do some foundation work in here. But the water's pretty solid, and the roof is solid, and the wood, you know, I've got to get lime all over the wood here. And I'm going to get an excavator and dig like a greenhouse. So I might knock down this outside toilet, which has water to it and little wire dangling across there with a plug for the light. So interesting. I like that little toilet sign, pretty cool. And that's where the wood-fired stove is, in that little extension bit there. And you see the chimney is outside the house. It's got 2 little chimneys as well, so it's actually good air circulation. And this gutter here, maybe I've explained in another video, this gutter, I'm going to remove that whole thing because it's very brittle, and make a bit of space under there with the plumbing, and then stick a bearer underneath, because it's complicated under there. You can see there's a whole bunch of pipes and everything going on there. Yeah, it's all just very complicated under there, but that bearer there is just rotted, so yeah, I need a bit of work to do under there, but it's holding up. So I'll get that drainage pipe out from underneath, make a bit of space, and I'll install a new one, and then maybe run it under here and out here to the garden where the ground goes down a bit. There is a drain here that's been broken, so I think that's from the outside toilet. Don't ever see water running in it from the house, so it's a separate drainage line. I don't know where it goes. It could go to a septic tank or something. It goes over this way. There's a little papaya tree and avocados there, and that was a grapefruit behind that bit of fibro you can see. Yeah, so a bit of work needs to be done in the garden. Probably need to get the lawnmower out again. Don't want to let this grass get out of control, but it's a big job mowing it by just a hand mower. Got a bit of black plastic over there. Might be able to use that under the house. I just chucked that there to kill off some of that grass because it's just wild, and I don't like a whippersnipper. And then we're looking after someone's chickens here, so we'll get rid of those soon and get our own chickens. But they're just pooping and fertilising the soil, and you know, they're okay. You're okay, guys, aren't you? They give us an egg every couple of days. That's all right, free eggs, but you know. And the owners, they just provide food for us. and I just change the water and give them a bit of food each day, and they bring food scraps over sometimes. There's another little shed there. It's actually a pretty good shed. It's a decent size. So we've got fibro in there. We need to dispose of that. So like I said, there's no asbestos in it. And then here we've got a little lime tree, and I think that's a soursop, but they struggled a little bit with some scorching. And there's another papaya, but we need mango. I've got lemon tree seeds in there, but it's just full of weeds. And another couple of trees that I found in the gutters from the shed. Good shed though. We've got some swings at the front that I gave Sammy for her birthday. They were $20 each. So I just put those together here at the front. And the little seesaw, a bit too small for me. I might make a proper seesaw for Sammy with one of these stumps. And then a cricket bat and ball she was enjoying. And then there's a little herb garden here around the front. And that's the devil's tree, I call it now, the devil's tree. The spikes are painful, and even in death it likes to stab you. And I don't want to cut it down because the root system is under the house and around the foundation. If I do, they'll rot and it might drop in this corner. So I'm just going to leave it and just keep it trimmed. And then I throw all the waste around the other side of the shed, so thieves, when I come down there, hopefully they trip over and fall face flat in a bunch of spikes. So it's kind of useful in some bits. Could put it along the fence line. I thought blackberries would be nicer though, at least we're getting some fruit. So herb garden there, got a whole bunch of little stuff growing. Some different herbs, just got some parsley the other day, that's doing very well. Need to get some compost, some manure actually, from the cattle yards, which is free. It's nice, just go there with a trailer and load up. Little kumquat tree there. There's a passion fruit over there which is doing really well. Some tomatoes growing at the front here. They're doing very well in a pot, and I'm leaving that plant there. I leave a lot of the weeds because a lot of them are nitrogen fixers and they actually assist in many ways. You know, permaculture sort of idea. I don't know what all the weeds are and how they help, but I might get a horticulturist to come and have a look. But these guys are great. This passion fruit, he's doing really well. So he's about 2 months old and he was only tiny, and he's just gone nuts. Don't know what those seedlings are, and those ones there, and those ones there. And then we've got some thyme here and lavender. Alright, the herbs are great because they deter mosquitoes, and we will get it. There's a bath there, you can see a cast iron bath. Wouldn't mind putting it in the bathroom, it's huge. But I might dig a hole, whack it in the ground and use it as a pond. And then maybe we can attract some green tree frogs again that I found originally in the toilet. And we got some aloe vera. There's 4 clumps of aloe vera in the garden here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, sorry, 5 clumps. So yeah, lots of aloe vera which you can eat and use for medicinal purposes. And that's a little herb there. I don't know what it is, maybe it's, I don't know, sage or something. Anyway, herbs are great. Oh, front door's locked. See you later.